Presenter should keep track of who's on deck. And here's a pretty picture of y'all. You know.
Just started.
Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Jeff Harris. Welcome to Las Cruces, New Mexico. We are in the Aggie Health and Wellness Center on the campus of New Mexico State University. I'm the Director of Counseling and the Interim Training Coordinator. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the doctoral internship in health service psychology. Next slide, please. I'm going to start with a picture of New Mexico State University. We are located in the southern part of the state, and you can see our nice, tiled roofs and the Organ Mountains in the background. So I'm going to start by telling you a little bit about the training philosophy, our internship. We offer specialized training in psychotherapy. About half of the time that interns spend here is focused on providing psychotherapy and receiving training in psychotherapy. But we also provide generalist training in other areas like consultation and outreach. We try to make sure that culturally relevant practice and social justice are emphasized throughout the internship. And we both want to contribute to social justice by providing individual counseling to students and contributing to the campus climate in positive ways. So the counseling service is a part of Aggie Health and Wellness Center. So we operate as an integrated campus health center where the mental health services are provided alongside of medical services, and we work closely with our physicians and nurse practitioners and other medical providers. We try to design the internship so that interns participate in developmentally appropriate challenges, but we want to provide an equal amount of support to meet the challenges. So we try and create a warm, collegial, supportive atmosphere, and we see our interns as very valuable members of our staff, and we see them as colleagues, and we try to learn as much from them as we teach them. So I'm going to hand it off next to Bethany Wellman, who will introduce herself.
Hello, I'm Bethany Wellman. I'm a psychologist here at the Aggie Health and Wellness Center. And so one of the things that I'm going to talk about is the competency areas as well as the different types of interventions that we provide here at Counseling Center. So these competency areas are based on the APA benchmarks that are required for interns based on APA accreditation standards. So intervention, assessment, diversity, professionalism, ethics, supervision, and consultation are required for all interns to complete an APA accredited program. We do have an additional benchmark, and that is for outreach. And so that is specific to our program. So the first thing that I want to talk about is intervention. So the main types of interventions that we provide here at our site are psychotherapy, crisis intervention, triage interviews, and group counseling. Individual psychotherapy. So we have some general guidelines for how we do psychotherapy here. Typically speaking, we have a session limit for our clients. We normally see clients for about 6 to 12 sessions, and that is an academic year limit. However, for interns, we do have the opportunity for them to choose 1 to 2 long-term clients based on interest or areas of growth or development. Interns can work with their supervisor to, excuse me. Interns can work with their supervisor to choose a client that they think might help them grow professionally, so they can see that client or those clients on a long-term basis. But generally speaking, most clients are seen for a short or brief-term therapy. And so students participate in short-term therapy, and then we do also have the option of the students here on campus to provide to participate in long-term group counseling. So say that a client wants to participate in brief therapy, and then they finish their 6 sessions, they finish 10 sessions, but they still want to work on the interpersonal aspects of whatever their issue is. They're welcome to participate in group therapy here at the center for as long as they like. And so I'll speak more about group therapy here in just a couple minutes. So interns also provide on-call coverage where they conduct triage appointments, and that's just a brief 15-minute or so session where they meet with a client for a walk-in, where they meet with the client on a walk-in basis, figure out what their identified need is, what they're looking for in therapy, if they're appropriate for the counseling center, and then get them connected with a counselor. So following their triage appointment, they're then staffed at a disposition meeting, and we can talk about that in a little bit more detail for those of you who have questions about that. And then during the on-call shift, we also see people for crisis interventions. So crisis interventions may be somebody who's experiencing suicidal ideation, a student who's having panic attacks, someone who's experienced a recent trauma. And so crisis interventions may last a little bit longer. It's not uncommon to see those folks for up to an hour. Sometimes it may be stabilization. They may have an ongoing counselor in the community. They may have an ongoing counselor here at the center. So they may not be somebody that's looking for ongoing therapy. It might just be somebody that needs stabilizing in that moment. Triage appointments, they're normally somebody that you want to see who's looking for some type of service. And then the DISPO meeting that I mentioned just briefly a second ago, what that is a weekly meeting where we meet, we review the clients that we've seen on triage, and then we get them staffed. During triage, we ask clients gender preference, language preference, if they have any, like their schedule, when they're available to meet, if they have any other preferences or barriers that might make them hesitant to participate in therapy or more open to therapy. And then we get them connected with the counselor that's the best fit for them, so they'll be more likely to participate in therapy. So the next part is group counseling. Interns have the opportunity to co-facilitate groups with senior staff members. Right now, we have several groups that are going. I co-facilitate one of the groups with an intern. One of our current interns, we're doing a Thriving Through Connecting group. And so it's an open process group for students who are struggling to make connections on campus. The other groups that are going are Moving Forward After Trauma, so it's a trauma-focused group. In the upcoming semester, we're going to have a bilingual process group, English-Spanish, and then there's going to be a group, Understanding the Past and Looking Ahead, which is a group for students that have difficult family dynamics that they're trying to navigate. So it's not necessarily a trauma-focused group, but it is for people who have just really uncomfortable, uncertain, kind of chaotic family dynamics that they're just working with right now. So in the future, I know that I want to run an art group. So there is some latitude for interns to utilize their strengths and skills and experiences in creating groups for the future.
So we're going to be talking about the seminars and the training we provide next, and I do the I facilitate the psychotherapy seminar, and my scholarship for the last couple decades has been in psychotherapy integration, and along with a number of other colleagues, we've defined unified psychotherapy as a comprehensive route to integration, and so the training that I provide here for interns and practicum counselors in the psychotherapy seminar is focused on translating diverse theories into practical skills. And we're also going to be trying to help counselors learn where to focus with each client and how to shift the focus over time. So instead of saying, I'm a cognitive therapist, I'm always going to do cognitive therapy, you'll customize the treatment for each individual client. So unified psychotherapy is a comprehensive approach to integration. And over the course of the internship year, interns will learn to explore 9 dimensions of functioning with clients. And so because it's a pretty comprehensive model, we're gonna, we'll move slowly through the model over the course of the internship year. And the goal is really to help clients modify maladaptive thoughts, emotions, and actions, and then to understand the influence of both external and internal influences on current functioning. And the goal is to be able to customize treatment for each unique client rather than providing a one-size-fits-all psychotherapy. So the unified framework that we use as training is based on a holistic model of functioning, and that model's at the center of that model is the idea that thoughts, actions, and feelings are always interacting. And so immediate psychological experience looks at thoughts and other parts of the cognitive system, emotions and other parts of the experiential affective system, and actions and other parts of the behavioral system. So those 3 parts are always interacting and represent kind of the core of the human experience. So in the impact on thoughts, actions, and feelings is always influenced by both external and internal factors. So the holistic model identifies 4 different external influences. The first is development across life experiences. So every experience that we have, whether those are nurturing experiences or traumatic experiences, impact the way we think, feel, and act. Interpersonal patterns, dyadic relationships impact the way we think, act, and feel, and the interpersonal patterns that we experienced early in life will create a blueprint for later relationships. Families and other microsystems influence the way we think, feel, and act. And then a broader sociocultural macrosystems also influence our thinking and feeling and acting. So in addition to those 4 external factors, the holistic model also identifies internal influences that include unconscious processes, conflicts, and defenses, and then biology, physical health, and maturation. So the way we think, act, and feel is influenced both externally and internally. So here's the overwhelming detailed figure that shows a unified framework for individual psychotherapy and suggests that for these 9 different parts of the human experience are also the focus of different theories and different approaches to psychotherapy. So cognitive interventions focus on thoughts, experiential interventions focus on emotions, behavioral interventions focus on actions. And so at the core of our training is that you'll learn how to identify maladaptive thoughts and help them become more adaptive. You'll identify dysfunctional emotions and help clients embrace more adaptive ways of feeling. And you'll help clients identify ineffective actions and help them modify them. In terms of the external influences, developmental interventions focus on development across the life experience, including traumatic experiences and crises. Interpersonal interventions will focus on interpersonal patterns and will include the therapeutic relationship and issues of transference and countertransference. Systemic interventions will look at the family system, including how that's been internalized over time and how that influences you even as you move away from your family. And then cultural interventions will look at the broader cultural context and how that's internalized in a sense of cultural identity. Not quite. And so, no, not quite. Okay, thanks. So, and then for the internal influences, psychodynamic interventions focus on understanding the impact of unconscious processes, conflicts, and defenses. And then biological interventions like health psychology and psychiatry focus on biology, health, physical health, and maturation. Okay, so throughout the year, you'll be learning interventions that focus on all 9 of these types of interventions that focus on all 9 of these parts of the of the human experience. Our second seminar that we're going to talk about is the multicultural seminar, and there are 4 themes in the multicultural seminar. The first is understanding cultural groups in New Mexico and understanding what it's like to be a Latinx student on campus, or a Black student on campus, or a Native American student on campus, or an LGBTQ student on campus. The second theme in our multicultural seminar is multicultural skills training, where you'll learn 6 different types of skills for focusing directly on culture. There'll also be training on working with vulnerable populations, like migrants and undocumented students and sex workers. There'll be some training on cultural adaptations of established interventions. There'll also be excursions to understand the community. So we, in December, the interns and I participated in a religious pilgrimage that involved both Native American aspects and Catholic aspects. For spring break, we're planning a trip to El Paso and Juarez to understand the Borderlands region more clearly. So, okay, the next seminar we're going to talk about, the third seminar, is the ACORN seminar, and Sequoia is going to introduce that.
Hi, my name is Sequoia. I'm a clinical psychologist and assessment coordinator here at the Counseling Center. And so I'm going to introduce briefly ACORN seminar, and it's assessment, consultation, outreach, research, and networking. So I'm going to cover the first one, which is assessment. So as an intern and clinician also, you have the opportunity to do psychological testing here at the Counseling Center. And so most of the focus when it comes to assessment is going to be ADHD testing. And we use a battery of tests. And the first one that I'm gonna just give it to you so you can look at it. So the first one is going to be the Wechsler Adult Intelligence Scale, the base. This is the first one that you get the opportunity to practice and use. The second one is going to be the Wechsler Memory Scale, the WIMS. And the third one, part of a battery for ADHD testing, is going to be the Minnesota Multiphasic Personality Inventory. So that's all when it comes to testing. You're also going to have the opportunity to do a really good clinical, interview, and with the student, and you're going to use a semi-structural interview for adult ADHD. So this is one right here. You also want to cover the social history of the student, retrospective attention profile, health history, student's employment history, childhood rating scale, because the student is going to answer this, behavioral checklist, also for the student to answer this one, behavioral checklist for a caregiver to answer this, so maybe mom, dad, and maybe a grandparent, okay? So that's going to be also part of your evaluation. You're also going to complete an informed consent and brief mental health status exam. So that is when it comes to, assessing, evaluating for ADHD, okay? Now, you're also going to have the opportunity to use other type of assessments. I really encourage students, interns, clinicians, whoever's going to be working with us, to use different type of tools, instruments. The CCAP is going to be one that you're going to be able also to use, Counseling Center Assessment for Psychological Symptoms. I recommend to use it at the beginning of your work with students, probably around session number 5, 6, and then near the end of your work with the student, session number 11, 12. Another, other options that, I really also encourage is the Beck's Depression Inventory and the Beck's Anxiety Inventory. Let's say that you get a referral for a student that is requesting assistance with depression or anxiety. I recommend for you to administer the BDI or the BAI at the beginning of your sessions, right? And probably near the end of your sessions, you want to use it again to see if there's improvements and kind of like prepare for termination, right? Ending the your services with the student. So that is pretty much when it comes in a nutshell when it comes to assessments.
the other aspects of the ACORN seminar, the C is for consultation. Consultation may look like different things depending on what your internship or professional goals are. A couple of the things that we talk about in consultation are program development and program evaluation. So that may be specific program development if there's a type of program or programming that you want to do while you're here. You may be encouraged to do that if it's something that's going to benefit the campus or benefit the counseling center, or general program development, program evaluation skills if that's something that you haven't been exposed to. So things like needs assessments, doing different types of qualitative researching skills, that type of thing. So depending on where the interns are at and what exposure that they've had, that can be kind of customized to fit the current internship cohort's needs. And so our current interns are doing a little bit of program development. Hopefully we'll have the opportunity to do a little bit of program evaluation based on what they are exploring. They'll talk a little bit more about that when it gets to time to talk about their social justice projects, because they're incorporating some of that into what they've decided to do. And so we are also have the opportunity to do some diversity consultation. And so I don't know if you all have ever done any diversity consultation work before, but that is an opportunity that's presented itself on campus at least this year. And so something that we're hoping to continue to develop as we move forward. You know, it's an interesting political time right now. It's an interesting climate being in the border area. And so hopefully that is a skill and something that we can continue to integrate into the practical work that we do at the counseling center. And if not, it is something that we are going to continue to integrate into the educational environment. And so then also with consultation, there's some process facilitation, some mediation, some different things that may go along with this program evaluation and diversity consultation work that we're doing. And so, you know, we don't want to create or force opportunities within the university, but if they arise, then we want to capitalize on this and make this a healthier environment for the students. And if they don't naturally arise, then we do at least want to include it in the didactics for the interns. So especially if you're socially justice oriented, that's skills that you can take with you as you build your career and your professional identity. Outreach, what we do there is we want to, for the interns that have the opportunity to not just do kind of the general campus outreaches, which, you know, you all will be doing some, but also have the opportunity to design workshops and outreaches that are based on your own professional interests and your own like therapeutic interests and needs. And so I'm going to, Gilbert, if he wants to, he can talk some about his workshop and things that he is creating later on during the presentation. Okay. Yeah. And so, and we do also have the opportunities for interns to do some workshop facilitations. Gilbert's going to be doing a workshop facilitation with one of your senior staff later on in a month for some demystifying mental health for a community that doesn't necessarily engage in mental health easily historically later on this year. And then we are also trying to build liaison relationships with the diversity offices on campus. So we are not a research-heavy internship. I'll go ahead and say that straight out. I don't want to, you know, sell this for anything that we are not. You all are doing dissertation work. You know, you've had coursework in research at your institutions. And so how we really try to integrate research into our program is by providing support for your dissertation, by providing opportunities to like share your dissertation, do practice. Oh my God, it's been so long since I've done it, I don't remember what it's called. Like practice presentations for your proposal or that sort of thing while you're here. Share that with the center. We also do some research, so integrate some research with the interventions. We do case presentations where you integrate the research, current research into the work that you're doing with clients. And then we have practitioner scholar discussions. So we have 2 of those a month where we will utilize articles and talk about how that ties into multicultural concerns or different theories and philosophies. So networking. So networking really looks at supporting interns in the future steps of their career. Job search, how do you create your niche in this field? So building and developing your area of interest and expertise, looking at what you need to be licensed in the state that you eventually want to be licensed in. You know, different states have different requirements. I came from California. They have much different requirements than New Mexico. And so really teasing that apart, do you want to apply for plus licensure? Do you want reciprocity in different states? And so thinking about some of those things while you're here, and then supporting as you're getting ready for EPPP, that type of thing, as well as how do you network? My networking skills are kind of garbage, and so that's something that would have been really helpful for me on internship, was to think about how do you network? What kind of conferences do you go to? How do you build these professional relationships? That way, when you're segueing out of here, you know, you can have it. You can have this kind of spotter win that is even more expanded than what you already have right now. So,
So we've now described 2 of the seminars, the psychotherapy seminar and the ACORN seminar. And again, ACORN was assessment, consultation, outreach, research, and networking. The 3rd seminar we do is a supervision of supervision seminar. So each intern will supervise 1 or 2 practicum counselors each semester, and then interns receive supervision of supervision by a licensed psychologist. So there'll be a little bit of didactic training, mostly using Stoltenberg's developmental model and Bernard's discrimination model, and then a lot of that will be talking about the practicum counselors that each intern is supervising, doing some video review, and learning to be a better supervisor. And then the last of the scheduled times of training is a case consultation, where interns meet with other psychologists and counselors on staff to discuss current clients, and that's going to involve both conceptualizing the clients using different theories and figuring out what clinical hypotheses explain best what's going on with this individual client, and then doing some treatment planning, thinking about specific interventions that might be helpful. So those are the seminars. We described the psychotherapy seminar, the multicultural seminar, the ACORN seminar, supervision of supervision, and case consultation. So now we're going to hand it over to the interns to talk about 2 projects that they do throughout the year.
Sorry. So my name is Gilbert. I'm one of the current psychology interns here, so I'm here to talk about the area of emphasis. So this is kind of a project. We'll be spending about an hour, 2 hours a week doing it, and so Jessica and I have selected training administration and behavioral health interventions. So I can talk a bit about mine. So for my area of emphasis, I'm working with Jeff in terms of talking about how the internship is administered here. A big thing we've been working on is preparing the center for multiple site visits, so APA accreditation visit, things like that. And I chose this area of emphasis, and I really enjoy it because eventually I hope to be involved in training administration in the future, like leading a training program. So I think that this kind of experience during internship really prepares me in terms of when I'm going to talk to hopefully future counseling centers about what I can offer and what I hope to be doing in the future. And Jessica's working with behavioral health interventions, so there's another college here, Royal College of Medicine. She'll be working with them, meeting their needs. It's a medical school there, and she can talk more about that later.
you want to, when you, yeah.
So my name is Jessica, and I'm one of the psychology interns here.
Go back and ask her, tell you a little bit more about your intervention.
So my
Very
behavioral health intervention, I'm going to be working with medical staff. We actually have our meeting tomorrow morning at 9. Aside from that, because I'm not going to be doing BCom stuff anymore, but working with medical staff to do a weight management program. So integrated working on medical side, and then us the psychology side, which I think is really cool, right? So for me, I have a passion for health and wellness, and I like working in integrated settings, and so this fulfills those things for me. So, and it was something that I was really interested in, that I let it go, and now hopefully we'll bring it back and be starting it up. So I'm really interested in that. So as far as our social justice project, Gilbert can talk about this. But I really like this because it's one of the areas, creating equity for individuals, especially for minority populations or populations that aren't that represented on campus. And for me, I'm a mother, and that's one of the big things for me, or a dominating theme throughout the time I've been in the PhD program. And that's what I wanted to do, was support mothers on campus. So from there, I was like, let's see what I can do. And I started doing research. And as I was looking at different universities, I noticed that we don't even have a women's resource center on this campus. So even working from there, how can I advocate for, mothers when we don't even have a women's resource center on campus? So right now I've connected with one woman on campus who has had some stuff happen related to being a mother. So I connected with her, and then I have a list of people I will be interviewing and seeing what their perspective is on campus of what we need to do to better support women, what NMSU does well, what we're lacking, and then go from there to potentially create a network that supports women better. But overall, I'd love to have a women's resource center, because we have Black programs, we have Chicano programs, we have all these other programs, but we don't have a women's resource center, and I think that's really important. Another part of this that I've been working on today with the outreach, but it's also related to this, is having a mother's networking lunch twice a month on the 2nd and the 4th Tuesday of each month. That will be starting this semester, just for mothers to see each other, because that's one of the things I noticed, is that a lot of the mothers on campus are like, where are the other mothers? And it's an identity that we don't see, that we don't carry. Not everybody can see that's part of our identity, right? And they have different challenges being students on campus. So just for them to be able to meet, to see each other, to hopefully create some connections and some friendships, that's what I will be doing as part of the outreach. It's not therapy, it's not anything like that, but it's still an important aspect of mental health, especially for that population. And I really enjoyed it, the social justice project so far, just because I've been able to take it to the path I want to, of course with guidance and within some parameters, but it's been based on my interests and what's important to me, and I think that's always really important as we move forward. Do you want to talk about yours a little bit?
Sure. So my social justice project is about social justice engagement and resiliency. So I'm very interested in kind of the intersection between people's sort of social justice journey and how that affects their mental health. So if you think about their journey having like a naive stage, not really knowing much about depression, and then sort of feeling connected, like, oh, this happens to more people than just me, but then sort of realizing, oh, this is like really big, and I don't kind of feel hopeless. So how their mental health sort of shifts as they sort of become more aware of their identities and become more aware of kind of the systems that kind of oppress them. So I'm working with the different cultural offices on campus and designing a specific workshop for their student population in terms of the social justice issues that they face on campus and mental health issues. So kind of creating 4 different workshops, and just collaborating with those different cultural offices is something I've really enjoyed. I can't wait to see what happens with these workshops. Yeah, that's about it.
So looking at our weekly schedule, we provide anywhere from 12 to 15 hours of individual therapy, and then we have
our on-call, which is 4 and 3, which is 4 is triage and 3 is on-call. So basically when we get, or other way around, sorry, but it's underneath there, on-call and triage. And we have people come in, either they're looking for services that they mentioned earlier, or they are in crisis and they just need stabilization. 2 hours of group a week, and then providing supervision. Last semester we had 2 supervisees that both Gilbert and I had, in this semester we will both have 1 each. So it just varies based on that. Individual supervision, 2 hours a week of individualized supervision, and then case consultation, 1 to 2 hours. Once again, that's when we meet as a group and we talk about different cases that are coming up. And then soup, which me and Gilbert do together with Jeff, and we meet once a week to talk about our supervision and supervising. We also have the 3 hours of the psychotherapy, which Jeff provides, multicultural also seminar, and then the ACORN seminar, different times during the week. Plus for administration we have meetings, which is the disposition meeting. Sometimes we have another meeting once a month and another one here and there. Paperwork anywhere from 3 to 5 hours a week. And then prep for soup, reviewing the supervisee's notes, sending them back. Sometimes it's one of those things where they have to do corrections, they send them back. Those things, and meeting with them, reviewing tape. And then our other projects that we have, which would be our areas of emphasis, outreach. For example, sometimes we go out to different offices, present there, consultation, and then obviously our social justice project, and that varies and it's flexible from week to week depending on what we have.
So New Mexico State University is located in Las Cruces, in the southern part of the state. Las Cruces is the 2nd largest city in New Mexico. So it is smaller than Albuquerque, but bigger than Santa Fe. We're in the Borderlands region and creates a unique cultural mix. New Mexico is very vibrantly influenced by Mexican culture, by Euro-American culture, and by Native American culture. And there's a unique blend that you won't find in most other parts of the country. Las Cruces is a college town, and so there are restaurants and bars and musical events that create a college town environment. Las Cruces is right west of the Organ Mountains, which provides opportunities for hiking and other outdoor pursuits. We can offer you high desert weather, so it's going to be temperate in the winter, and it's not going to be as hot in the summer as Phoenix or Las Vegas. And Las Cruces and southern New Mexico offer a low cost of living. So those are some things about living in this area. The last slide is a picture of the Organ Mountains a few weeks ago when it snowed. We don't always get a lot of snow up in the mountains, but we had a snowstorm that came in December and frosted our mountains in a very pretty way. So thank you for listening to this presentation.